Hello and a very warm welcome to another edition of World Panorama. Here we are getting you your weekly dose of major international news with a perspective. I'm Sana Khan. Before we get you detailed reports, here's a look at the top stories this week. The coup d'etat in Egypt turns back the clock on the Arab Spring. Egypt's army overthrows Mohamed Morsi, places him under house arrest. World leaders react to the military overthrow of Morsi, ask Egypt military to quickly restore democracy. 20th ASEAN Regional Forum Foreign Ministers meeting concludes in Brunei. India and Pakistan agree to revive third round on bilateral issues. And we'll be getting you a quick peek at the Paris Haute Couture Fashion Week 2013. Just over a year ago, Egypt was celebrating new leadership. That was in June 2012. Now, a completely new scenario emerges. That's what we will be focusing on this week. An uncertain new political order began to take shape in Egypt on Thursday, a day after the military deposed and reportedly detained the country's first democratically elected president, put a top judge in his place and suspended the constitution. Wednesday's coup that toppled Mohamed Morsi prompted hundreds of thousands of people in the streets across Egypt to both applaud and assail at the same time the general's decision to step into the country's political fray for the second time in slightly more than 2 years. What we see today is two Egypts. One where people are furious that what they see as democratic will of the people has been flouted and they are in no mood to accept meekly what has been done to them. The other Egypt is still flocking to Tahrir Square and the area around the presidential palace for celebration rallies. So now, what will happen to Morsi and his supporters who insist he remains the country's legitimate leader? Will violence be blamed for the deaths of at least 32 people in a single-day spread? What hopes remain for Egypt's attempts to build a multi-party democracy? Joining me to help us get a clear picture and understand the turn of events in Egypt is Dr. Wael Awad, senior journalist. Welcome to the show, sir. But before we discuss that, here's a report that I've compiled for you.
Fireworks burst over crowds in Cairo's Tahrir Square, where men and women danced, shouting, "God is great" and "Long live Egypt." In a rapid turn of events, the Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi was ousted, a senior jurist was sworn in as Egypt's acting head of state, and the constitution suspended by the army.
أن أحافظ مخلصاً على النظام الجمهوري وأن أحترم الدستور والقانون وأن أرعى مصالح الشعب رعاية كاملة وأن أحافظ على استقلال الوطن وسلامة أراضيه.
Pro and anti-Morsi demonstrators gathered outside Cairo's constitutional court, where Adli Mansour was sworn in as interim president of Egypt.
To say whatever they want, but it is the majority of the Egyptian people who forced the army to give back the right we gave it to Mr. Morsi. He didn't behave correctly, so that we told him, give it back to us and we are going to choose somebody else.
Mohamed Morsi, the Muslim Brotherhood and their harder line allies say they played by the rules of democracy.
احنا كحزب الحرية والعدالة وكإخوان مسلمين وكافة القوة المحبة للشرعية والمحبة لقيم الإنسانية وقيم الحرية في مصر، كلنا موجودين في الميادين في مصر من الآن فصاعدا إلى أن يعود الرئيس الشرعي محمد مرسي إلى مكانه الطبيعي في قصر الرئاسة.
Morsi urged his supporters not to fight back. His overthrow was met with delight by millions who opposed Islamist rule, but incensing his supporters who saw a military coup that poses dilemmas for Western leaders who promote democracy. The army took control of state media and blacked out TV stations operated by the Muslim Brotherhood. The head of the Brotherhood's political wing was arrested. Morsi, elected a year ago in a vote hailed as a new dawn for the Arab world's biggest nation after the uprising of 2011, was held at a military facility in Cairo, a security source said. The fall of the first elected leader to emerge from the Arab Spring revolutions of 2011 raised questions about the future of political Islam, which had seemed triumphant. Deeply divided, Egypt's 84 million people find themselves again a focus of concern in a region traumatized by the civil war in Syria.
All right, Dr. Awad, now, what do recent developments show? Do they show that Egypt's, experiment with democracy has failed miserably and Egypt is left divided?
I think it is a very unique situation at this moment. It's very difficult to support an army taking over from an democratically elected government. Having said that, I wouldn't have also denied that what happened in 365 days of Morsi rule have really done lots of damage to the society. Polarization of the society is on one hand, the declining in the economic growth in the other hand, and refusing to listen to the opposition, the third part. I think it was a crisis made by themselves to reach to a stage of a confrontation between the army and the people of Egypt. And if you see, it is the same people who have taken Mubarak out, the same people who brought Morsi, and now in the Mahmoud protest is the same people who brought him back. So it is impossible to watch that the liberal, the democratic forces, the secular forces are with the army taking a democratically elected government. But I think what happened is that what was the difference between a dictator of Hosni Mubarak or himself trying to be the supreme leader by, when you during Hosni Mubarak time, you would have seen that people, if you are opposing to the president, you would be suppressed and taken to the jail.
That's right.
Here people saying, no, we will kill you because you are infidel. If that is the attitude, then there is a question mark on the Muslim Brotherhood kind of rule in Egypt, and they have to be paid for that, and they have made to be paid that price for this, and that's why the president was naturally falling, because it's not an ousted or a soft coup, it is a natural fall for a president who refused even to negotiate with the opposition or open a dialogue really to solve the crisis in the country.
Too much, it seems, has happened too soon over the past 365 days. Now, what can be the scenario in Egypt? A, the military, army enforces a period of calm. Otherwise, we see that this violence that is still continuing will only just flare up. So what now?
I think the government should be now interim government, where the army is, if we give them the benefit of doubt and say, yes, okay, they are for the democracy and they are just having a temporary measurement, fair enough, let's see what will be the transparency and will be the government taking shape.
Right.
If that is the issue, but now we are facing another issue where they are very stubborn, the Muslim Brotherhood, and refusing to calm down, and they do not want anything but the chair for their president back, kursi for Morsi. That is the message. So if that is the aim, then the confrontation is open the street. And don't let us forget also, we had a discussion earlier, some time ago on your channel, that the Muslim Brotherhood have been arming themselves to the neck. And the arm has been smuggled, hidden, that they are preparing for this stage. 85 years of suppressions, were not in power since 1925. They have 52, they have been banned. Now they are tested the power. They are unable to rule, because they are new into a democratic setup in Egypt.
Right.
So therefore, there is a confrontation in the street. And I see the amount of violence have erupted for the last 2 days. It shows that there is going to be more trouble. But as far as our sources comes and to tell us, there are more contained till now by the army who are already well prepared to take on them.
Right. Perhaps it's just the beginning of the violence, and let's see what happens. But please stay on with me. The events unfolding in Egypt are being closely watched by the world as well. Let's play out some of the reactions that have come in.
I am gravely concerned by the situation in Egypt. I call on everyone to exercise restraint and refrain from violence, to respect human rights, including the rights of minorities and the rule of law, and to work to establish a democratic and inclusive civilian government as soon as possible.
We are closely monitoring the evolving situation in Egypt. As the world's largest democracy, India was amongst the first countries to welcome the 25th January revolution and the promise of genuine democracy in a large and important country like Egypt, with which we have traditionally enjoyed close and friendly ties. India urges all political forces to abjure violence, exercise restraint, respect democratic principles and the rule of law, and engage in a conciliatory dialogue to address the present situation.
Demokratik bir seçimle iş başına gelmiş olan Cumhurbaşkanı Mohamed Morsi'nin Mısır ordusunun müdahalesiyle görevinden alınması, Mısır devriminin kazanımları ve demokratik süreç açısından son derece kaygı verici bir durumdur ve bu konuyu biz de çok titizlikle değerlendirmekteyiz.
You saw the statement that we put out last night. I think the point that I would make is again reflected in the statement that we issued, is that the most important thing is that all parties in Egypt stay calm, begin a dialogue, and above all else return to the democratic process as soon as possible.
All right, we saw many reactions from different leaders across the world, but Barack Obama's on-camera reaction is not there. But we do know what he said. He said that Egypt should hurry back to democracy. But Dr. Awad, what do you think? It's going to be a big foreign policy headache for the U.S.?
I don't think the U.S. is really having a headache for it because they understood the game plan. They knew that they have been paying the army of Egypt for more than 35 years, $1.5 billion, unaccountable for. And now it's time to pay the favor back because that time they were paying them to suppress the street of Egypt, especially the Muslim Brotherhood. Now they have joined hand with the Muslim Brotherhood in 1989 in the predicts that they wanted them to take power and safeguard the American and the Israeli interests in the region. Now they have tested this power and they failed. The army took actions. The Americans are well prepared and they knew what was going on. I'm 100% sure of that.
All right. So the developments in Egypt nonetheless are a matter of grave concern. Do you think not just for the future of Egypt, but also for the future of other countries that have experienced the Arab Spring?
I would call it a second revolution or the true revolution, because if you go and look at the street of Egypt, I mean, you could see all the colors of the people, the young peoples, those who have been denied or their revolution has been hijacked, especially among the youth and the middle class people. So you could see liberal, seculars, religious people, different from the Muslim Brotherhood, who are minorities in Egypt. All these people join hand, and that shows that the people, their aspiration for true democracy, for freedom of speech, for a better living condition has not been met by this. So it is too early to judge any kind of a revolution in any country, because usually revolution and changing of regimes, it takes time. But I think what Egypt required is a system in place, and this system should be respected by all the parties, and then you can redraw new constitutions and then have a proper election where you can have a representative from all the strata of the society. Otherwise, Egypt is heading for more trouble.
That's a crucial point. So lots of challenges lie ahead for Egypt, for Adli Mansour, the interim president, the Muslim Brotherhood, also for the military to maintain peace and calm while things unfold. Dr. Awad, thank you so much for joining me on the show this week and sharing your thoughts and opinion with us. We'll take a short break now. I'll be back with more world news, also a look at the recently concluded ASEAN foreign ministers meet in Brunei. Don't go anywhere. You're watching World Panorama. Brunei played its role well and successfully assembled world dignitaries at the recently concluded ASEAN foreign ministers meeting. Amid growing links between India and the ASEAN, maritime security is a major area that New Delhi and the 10-member grouping of Southeast Asian countries are looking to boost cooperation in through a new platform. Here's what India brought back.
Association of Southeast Asian Nations dialogue partners pledged to continue supporting the association's building of a community by 2015 and its central role at ASEAN +1 ministerial meetings in Brunei Darussalam. External Affairs Minister Salman Khurshid met his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi during the three-day summit, and the two discussed issues of mutual importance.
第17次的特代的会晤刚刚在北京举行，据我了解，16次。据我了解，进行得非常好，双方达成了一些重要的共识，取得一些新的进展。
Amongst the various things that we are going to do is several consultations on the region, on parts and areas that we are interested in. Our defense minister will be in China in 2 days' time, and we will take our defense cooperation to a higher level.
The two Asian giants disagree about large areas of their 4,000-kilometer border and fought a brief war 50 years ago. Over reports of snooping by the US, Salman Khurshid said New Delhi and Washington were in touch with each other, while John Kerry defended Washington's stance once again after his recent visit to India.
These are all areas of great strategic importance that we have to cooperate and collaborate in counterterrorism measures. I think we continue to remain in touch and cooperate. If there is any concern, we would convey it, or they would convey to us.
I will say that every country in the world that is engaged in international affairs of national security undertakes lots of activities to protect its national security, and all kinds of information contributes to that. And all I know is that that is not unusual for lots of nations.
One of the most important meetings came on the sidelines of the ASEAN summit. Pakistan and India agreed to quickly draw up a calendar of official-level meetings to get their bilateral peace process, which has lost momentum due to polls that led to a change of government in Pakistan, back on track.
We should also proceed to look at humanitarian issues, and I've requested the government of Pakistan to take a humanitarian view of prisoners who are fishermen who stray on the other side and therefore under the law get punished.
Pakistan also sought an early meeting between the prime ministers of the two countries to provide the necessary political impetus to propel the process.
We have reviewed the various steps in confidence building measures and in the composite dialogue that has been going on, and discussed ways and means of fast-tracking them, because there is desire on the part of people on both sides to accelerate cooperation.
Both countries agreed to hold a third round of meetings on outstanding bilateral issues in next 2 to 3 months. The Indian External Affairs Minister conveyed greetings from Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and expressed his government's desire to engage with Pakistan on all issues and work towards improving bilateral relations. Reciprocating the warm sentiments of the Indian External Affairs Minister, Aziz informed him that Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif was giving priority at improved relations with India by picking up the threads from the Lahore process in 1999.
A look at Globe Watch, other international news compiled for you in a quick wrap. Campaigning began on Thursday in an election expected to strengthen Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's control over Parliament, ushering in the stability he needs to fix Japan's floundering economy. Voters nationwide will go to polls on 21st July to elect half of the 242 seats in the upper house of the legislature. With approval ratings as high as 70%, Abe is expected to romp home, bagging control of both chambers and not having to face public vote for 3 years. Amateur videos uploaded to the internet on 4th July showed Syrian government jets conducting airstrikes in the central city of Homs. In one video, an aircraft is seen flying in the sky, followed by explosions among buildings in the distance. Another video shows what is said to be shelling among buildings and smoke rising. A man can be heard saying a mosque is the target of the shelling. Cuban President Raul Castro announced political shuffling and said government officials and members of the ruling Communist Party need to look to the future when making decisions. Speaking on state television while addressing the government's 118-member Central Committee, Castro announced the removal of several powerful party figures while saying officials should step down from their posts when their work was done. Chinese President Xi Jinping met with Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif in Beijing on Thursday. Xi called on the two countries to carry on the traditional bilateral friendship and promote bilateral cooperation in key projects, including the Sino-Pakistani economic corridor and those on interconnection, so as to realize complementarity of each side's advantages, fuse the two countries' interests and promote common development. Sharif said that the Pakistani people cherish the brotherly friendship between Pakistan and China. The wife of South Africa's ailing former President Nelson Mandela, Graça Machel, said that her husband's condition was sometimes uncomfortable but generally fine. Dozens of well-wishers continued to pray for Nelson Mandela outside the Pretoria hospital, where the former South African president remains in a critical but stable condition. The 94-year-old was admitted to hospital on 8 June for recurring lung infection, his fourth hospitalization in 6 months. With that, a glance at all the sports news that you might have missed through this week. Here's all the sports action.
Star sprinter Usain Bolt told journalists in Paris he would carry on dominating the world of sprinting until the next Summer Olympics in 2016. A few days ahead of the Diamond League athletic meeting in Paris, the world record holder looked tired but said he would continue being at the top in the coming years. Sebastian Loeb shattering the existing Pikes Peak International hill climb record with a breathtaking time of 8 minutes 13.87 seconds in his Peugeot 208 T16 Pikes Peak car. The famed French rally driver negotiated the 12.42 miles and 156 corners of the mountain at an average speed of 90 miles per hour, demolishing the previous record of 9 minutes 46.16 seconds set by Reese Millen last year. The Pikes Peak International Hill Climb is the second oldest motorsports race in America and a long-standing tradition in Colorado Springs and the Pikes Peak region. Ferrari duo Fernando Alonso and Felipe Massa are poised to take advantage of a young drivers' test later this month as Formula One teams attempt to address the tyre problems. The spate of punches put drivers in danger and left manufacturer Pirelli under pressure to improve tyres, which have already come under scrutiny this season for disintegrating too quickly. A young drivers' test is slated for Silverstone between July 17th and July 19th, with Formula One's rising stars supposed to take part. But Ferrari sporting director Massimo Rivola has confirmed that his team's young guns may be overlooked to allow Massa and Alonso the chance to get some laps in on whatever new tyres Pirelli comes up with. American Bill Haas broke free with a back nine surge and posted a 3-stroke victory at the AT&T National at Congressional Country Club in Maryland. Haas began the final round in a 4-way tie atop the leaderboard with fellow Americans Roberto Castro and James Driscoll and Andres Romero of Argentina. He pulled away with 3 straight birdies from the 8th and 2 more at the 14th and 16th for a 5 under 66.
Time now for all the very latest news from the world of movies and lifestyle. Here's our entertainment wrap.
Ready position, common crouch.
Animated prequel Monsters University took home its second US and Canadian box office title with $46.2 million in ticket sales over the weekend, fending off a red-hot debut from Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy in female buddy comedy The Heat. Outpacing industry projections, The Heat nabbed $40 million from Friday through Sunday and finished in second place. Grammy Award-winning singer Adele joined the Madame Tussauds Hall of Fame as her wax figure was unveiled in London. The silhouette of the British singer appeared on a stage at the Madame Tussauds Museum and with her hit single Someone Like You playing in the background. Adele's wax figure will be displayed center stage in the music section alongside other international stars including Beyoncé, Rihanna, Lady Gaga and Michael Jackson. Intimate items from Amy Winehouse's life are going on display at a new exhibition in London. In collaboration with Winehouse's brother Alex, the Jewish Museum hopes Amy Winehouse, a family portrait, will shine light on her heritage, a side of the late British soul singer that the public rarely got to see. The exhibition is open until the 15th September. Nude color gowns dominated in Italian designer Giorgio Armani's Scooter collection at Paris Fashion Week. Held near the famous landmark the Eiffel Tower, the autumn-winter collection entitled Nude featured mainly fluid fabrics in pale and subtle tones. The Prince Emmanuel Filiberto of Venice and Piedmont and his wife, a French actress, joined Hollywood star Mia Jovovich in the front row of the show, along with British actress Naomi Harris, who was attending her first Scooter show in the French capital. The eclectic collection, presented in the grounds of the French capital's Invalides Monument, saw creative director Raph Simons playing with the concept of stripes using block colors, fringes and layering to create horizontal lines in a variety of different ways.
That's all we have for you in this edition of World Panorama. See you next week, same time with more international news. Till then, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. As I sign off, enjoy bright, crackling fireworks that wowed crowds on July 4th in celebration of Independence Day in America. Goodbye.